Good morning, good morning. I've got a bee in my bonnet or a creative thought. You can call it what you want. The last couple of weeks, actually, I don't know. Every time I open my Facebook or YouTube, whatever, I don't know, I see these books made from cloth and slow stitching. And that makes me excited. So then once again my thought came up, what are you going to do with a book like that? Well, I don't know. I don't care. It's not about what I'm going to do with it afterwards. I've learned it's about doing. And you know, what I've also realized is you don't know what you like before you do it. So just do it. Try the new thing. You watch YouTube and you see someone doing something, you thought, oh my goodness, that sounds it. Let me try it. Do it. You can think it's fantastic until you do it and then you realize, I really don't like this. But you got to do it. That's how we grow. Who would have thought I would fall in love with slow stitching and a gratitude journal and Gelli Plate printing if I didn't do it? So just do it. Try it and afterwards you will know. It's very funny how I am learning what I like, what I don't like. When I started with my art journey, I think it was about 20 years ago, I thought I'm gonna love abstract art, just playing, just throwing paints around, just gluing things on, making abstract art. When I started with my art, I couldn't do that. It just didn't work for me. I wanted to know I'm making a flower. I'm making a mountain. I'm creating a person. But I didn't think it's going to be like that. It was only after I did it and did it lots of times and tried many different things that I realized what comes naturally to me, you know? It's no use forcing yourself into a thing that doesn't come naturally, that doesn't speak to you, that doesn't make you come alive, feel alive, realize you are alive. So find that thing. But to find those things, you got to do it. So this is the thing. That is forget about, but what am I going to do with a little book from cloth and slow stitching? That's not the point. The point is doing that is a stepping stone to get me to my next project, whatever that may be. And I am learning the whole way. So with my journal, when I started about a year back, I think. Perhaps 2, I started with a sketchbook. And at first, that was difficult. And it was really difficult sketching and practicing and doing those kind of things. But I got into it and I loved it and I grew and that was great. And then a couple of weeks ago, together with you, I found this junk journal idea. I started doing that. It turned into my gratitude journals, and this is my second one. I mean, I don't think it's a month back, I created my first one. There it is. This is my first one, and after I came back from my trip, that was a week ago, I started my second one, and just look at it. And I absolutely love this much, much more as my sketchbook. But I needed my sketchbook to get to this book, and that is the journey, our creative journey and our life journey. You know, you got to do things in life to find out what works, what doesn't work for you, what you like, what you don't like. And that is how we grow and expand and learning to walk with the life in us. The life in us will always shows us what makes us come alive. You know, what makes you excited, what makes you blissful. Then you know, wow, I'm on the right path. This is making me extremely excited. So it's the same with my project of today. Yesterday I thought, after I did the Gelli Plate printing on cloth, I thought, oh my goodness, this is it. I really have nothing more to share. I don't know what I'm going to make in my next videos, if there's going to be a next video. That was yesterday. And I just let it go. I just said, you know what, I made a video yesterday, that is it. I still got lots of videos that needs to come live. So there's no pressure. I don't have to do this. So why do we put pressure on us, on ourselves, you know? Just day by day. Live each day as a separate life. So this morning I got up. I was still in bed having my coffee, and I went through my Facebook, and my Facebook is like a journal thing. It's like the things that pop up on my Facebook, the things that is lots of groups. It's groups that I love, doing things that I love, people that share things that makes me glad to be alive. You know, as soon as I see something on my Facebook or anywhere on social media that makes me feel uneasy, makes me feel, you know, fear rising up, I just block it. I am not going that route. I am becoming more and more vigilant, is that the word? To keep my peace, do whatever I got to do to keep my peace, you know, because that is abundant life. That's heaven, walking in peace and joy in the midst of what's going on in this world. So yesterday I did my Gelli Plate printings on cloth, and I've learned something new. Yeah, I remember I said I love the idea of it being wet, my cloth being wet, and then the things run. So now when I look at it, I actually think it is gorgeous, but a little bit messy. But I actually also love it, but you can see a little bit messy. But I love the colors. I love how they flow into each other. But you can see it's kind of dirty looking, kind of messy. That is because I did it on very, very wet cloth. I didn't wring it out enough. That is what I've learned. But again, look at that. It is not bad. It is gorgeous for what I am planning to do with it now. I did not know yesterday. That's the awesome thing with life. You don't know why you do things. You just get the desire. When you start to walk with the life in you, you get these desires. Yesterday, I just wanted to make a lot of Gelli Plate printings with my eucalyptus leaves on my cottons and my linens. That was all that I had. Nothing else. I didn't have the next step. I just felt like doing it, so I just came, sat here, did it. Now all of a sudden, I have all these little cloths. And then this morning, so these are the dried ones, the ones that were dry when I started. I did not wet this. And actually, I like them more when just after I did it, But now looking at it this morning after it's dry, you know, there's not actually a lot of difference. But isn't this one just absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous? So I have no idea how many of these things I made. I did not. I didn't count. Look at this beautiful one. Look at the colors. Isn't that gorgeous? This is exactly the farm, my remembrance of the colors and the farm and the trip that I took a week ago. But look at the blue one. Look at this one. You know. So, and these were just the papers that I also did yesterday. I'm not going to show you, but look at actually on the brown paper bag. Look how beautiful. This is on the soft paper, the tissue paper. Look how beautiful that is. Oh my goodness. Actually, after I put the video off, turned it off, I was doing some more and I was focusing on a very wet Gelli plate. And just look at that one. Look how, isn't this absolutely magical? I mean, look at that. That is just the most beautiful thing. This is another one. I'm not as much in love with that, but just look at the colors. Look at the flowiness. And that is what I've absolutely loved. This is just another one on the paper. These others are kind of the same as I did before. There you can see I've used lots of reds with a little bit of brown in. And once again, stepping stone. It's just a stepping stone. But instead of just viewing it as a stepping stone in your art journey, whatever you are doing in your life as well, enjoy the step. We got to enjoy the step. And it's a journey through this realm. We got to learn to enjoy the step. And in order to do that, we got to become present in this day, in this moment, in what we are doing. And we got to separate this moment from our fear of the future and dragging our past into this. This is all stuff that I am learning, and that's why I'm sharing it with you. The only way that I can experience joy is when I am in this moment, mindfully busy here with what I am doing and not allowing anything to enter that comes to steal, kill, and destroy the life in me. You know, my joy, my peace, my wisdom, whatever I have available to me via the life in me, I only have in this moment. So why allow fear of something that might happen or might not happen, of so-called future, to come in and destroy the joy that's available to me right now? And that's what I am learning. Just look at that beautiful one. You see, these are just, I did it. If I didn't do it, I wouldn't have been in this day, in this step, doing what I am going to do and show you right now. And I also didn't prepare anything because I want to show you, share with you my thought process. If you can call it that. I don't always know what my thought process is, but how I get from one thing to the next and how I figure things out while doing it, not in beforehand. I'm not here sitting and trying to figure it out beforehand. This is it. I am showing you let's see how this is going to work. I haven't done a book in material and cloth yet, so I don't know how this is going to work. All I know is that there's going to be slow stitching involved, by hand, you know, using my beautiful cotton thread and slow stitching these things together. So that is what I need to figure out. How big do I want to have my book? And I must say, remember I told you yesterday how I am starting to print these for my gratitude journal, A4, 2-on-1 page, so that I can put it in my book. Then I said, but I'm not going to do it with this because I'm not going to use this in my gratitude journal, but I'm going to use it now as a book. So perhaps it would have been better if I had did it on an A4 size too, but I didn't. So what am I going to do now? You see, now I need to make a plan. Now I need to change this to fit into my plan. You know, this is life. Life doesn't, your journey is always a challenge. You can plan and do whatever you want to the best of your ability. It never works out. So you have to be flexible, able to change and go in another direction and change your viewpoint and not feel threatened and scared. I mean, for me, it was always very easy to just go from one thing, change my mind, because that is me. My husband, on the other side, he's a perfectionist, and he was, you know, things must go like this, and he plans a thing and it must, you know, and then I'll come and say, let's just go now. He said, but you said in half an hour. I will be ready in half an hour. I'm not ready now. And there was lots of friction because of that, you know. I just said, let's go. But awesome thing is, once again, he has become more free. So now he has learned, and it was very difficult for him, to make peace with his journey and become flexible. That is another life lesson. You got to become flexible. You got to be ready for any change at any time and not allow it to upset you. You know, because that steals the joy. Because look back on your life. Did your life turn out as planned? Very rarely. So then we get upset because, you know, life is not turning out as I wanted to go this, and now it goes that way, and it's this one's fault and that one. In the meantime, it was never supposed to go the way as you planned it. You know, the river is going. You can plan your swim in the river, you know, as much as you like. But storms come, more water come, less water come, whatever. You're in the river of life, and that river changes. One thing about this realm that you got to know is permanent change. Change is one thing that you can be certain with. So the same with this book with me now. So it would have been much easier if I cut or tore out all my pieces in an A4 size and then just put them together and voila. Well, I didn't do that, so now I got to make a plan. So first decide the size. So I am just putting all my ones together, and this also gives me opportunity to try new things, to add in pieces, because let's say this one is now too small, so I need to slow stitch a piece on it to get it to the same size as the others. So you see the opportunities that comes forward because of me not doing it this way, you see. But I didn't know what I was going to do with these until this morning. And now I need to make a plan. And isn't that exciting? So I am just going, I think what I want to do is to have my one book, my one part, to have a page. This is one page that I am going to use like this in my book. You see? Now also what I have. You see, this is all these things that I haven't thought through. Because I want to do slow stitching. But what is going to happen if I put them together like this, you know, right sides together like this, and I started to slow stitch, then that is not going to work. So if I use it like this in a smaller book, then I'm not going to get my beautiful prints. So I have to make them like this. So just bear with me, let's figure it out. So what about I make my book like this, and then just, I can do this. It's my book. I can do whatever I want. Why not just put it on like this? Then this one I will have to cut or tear out. Put it there as well. Another thing, my things doesn't have to all be exactly the same size. It can be whatever it is. It can. So I am now just, look at that one. Now this is a little small one. I can add that one in. And I am just putting them all in a little book. And then what I can do is I can either make holes in here and then fasten it, or I can just stitch it there by hand, slow stitching, that is what I'm aiming at, and just slow stitch through everything and have my book that I will then, you know, be able to, that is wrong side, so all the slow stitchings and stuff you will see on the other side when I start to use it like this. So another thing I'm thinking is, but do I really want to keep all my prints like this, or do I want to tear my prints up and just like a collage make pieces that is more of a collage using my things? You see, that is another option. And as I said, I've never done it before. What will be the right way to go for me now? That is just it. As I said, I don't know where I am going with this. Have no idea. So I need to just sit with my project, just talk it through as I'm doing with you, talk it through in my mind, and just see where this is going to lead me. So once again, I made lots of them. Some of them isn't very beautiful, so will I use them as pieces that I tear up and then add it onto my work? Or what will I do? You know, what will I do? So the one thing that I think I first need to figure out the size of my book, kind of, because you can see these things are not all the same size. So that is going to be a great way to start. Let's start there and let's find one that is actually a nice size, because now I realize something else. Okay, most of them, this is my smallest ones, so this is actually great, but there I now have a double thing there. So I am just going to tear that thing off. Okay, so voila. This is the size of my book. There it is. Didn't measure it. Why do I need to measure? And voila, look at this. A piece that I can use for my slow stitching. Whatever, I don't know how that is going to work. So all that I am doing now is I am just eyeballing them. And see, okay, this one is very close, so that's fine. So I'm just going to tear off this piece. And the awesome thing is, look, it's fraying beautifully. When you use cotton and linens, it frays beautifully. So there's another piece. This is now just what I am going to do. I am just going to make them all kind of the same size, tearing off. Now look at this little piece that I'm tearing off. It's starting to have some color. So that is absolutely awesome. So this one is perfect. You can see it's a little bit smaller. Who cares? I am not going to make a perfect book. This is just gonna be my project. Isn't it gorgeous? It's just gonna be my project. And I am just going to see step by step, as I do in my life, to see how it's going to unfold. Not going to put any pressure on me. It doesn't have to become anything specific, because I don't have a specific plan. So where can I go wrong? Once again, like one of you said, you are, what was the word? Fearless. It's not that. I just don't have a specific plan. And that is the same that I've learned in my life, is when I don't have a specific plan, how I want my life to turn out, it's so much easier, because my life cannot go wrong, because I doesn't have a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan. I just go with the flow of what is happening, make peace with what is happening. The minute something happens in my life and I feel resentment, kind of anger, I'm just, even though they're a little bit smaller, I'm just taking these sides off, and then I am just loosely tearing them to get them into size. So I've learned that to make peace with my journey, with what is happening, and the minute I feel, as I said, a resentment and an anger rising up, unease, you sometimes just something rises up, then I realize, my ego is now coming into play, because something in my life is not turning out as I want. And that upsets me. That makes me angry. And then I immediately turn to this moment, view it for what it is, for what is happening, and do whatever I need to do to accept it and make peace with it. Just go with it and just moment by moment, just go with what is happening. But find your peace, my peace, and my joy in what is happening. Remember years back, we were on our way to our kids in Thailand, and we had this beautiful 3-day in Hong Kong planned. Oh man, you know, hotels booked and everything. We would have stayed there for 3 nights and then went to the kids to visit, and I was so excited. And guess what? Husband went to help the neighbor across the road, rip his Achilles tendon off, right off. His foot was gone. He came back, hop along, said something happened. At the end, we found out, went to the specialist, and he just said, sorry, you're going nowhere. You cannot fly. I need to operate on you. I will make a place for you. It was just absolutely amazing how the life in us and in that man and just led us, first of all, to the right, best specialist to do that operation and blah, blah, blah. So in the midst of that, all of a sudden, my whole life changed. I was on my way to my kids. We would have left in 3 days or something. Then all of a sudden it's husband tore his Achilles tendon, hospital. I need to look after him as if he's a baby. He couldn't move. He was on crutches. It was terrible. I think it was 4 months later that we were able to fly to the kids. And then it was very, very tough with him in a wheelchair and crutches and things, you know, the whole time. But I had to make peace with what was happening as quickly as possible, or it will destroy the life in me, my peace and my joy and my wisdom and the strength to cope with what was happening and everything. So I'm learning, make peace with what happens as soon as possible. Do not allow anger and resentment and call what not and blame and self-pity. Oh, why is this happening to me? I don't want to look after him. I'm not the nurse type. All of those things are true. I'm not the nursing type. It's scary. It's scary to me. Sick people and, you know, it's not natural to me. But I didn't have a choice. That happened. So only choice I had was either to make peace with what's happening as quickly as possible, or be angry, resentful, fearful, filled with self-pity. And then I would not have had what I needed to cope with the situation. But by making peace with it as quickly as possible, I got what I needed once again on a daily basis, never mind daily, minute by minute basis, in order to look after him, nurse him, be there for him, not gone off my rocker, because I would have if I didn't make peace with it. Was it easy? No, it wasn't. But I was able to cope with the situation and still experiencing peace and joy and the light in me moment by moment. So the only power that we actually have in this realm is how we react to things, you know? Do we make peace with them as soon as possible, or do we hold on to anger, blame shifting, self-pity? Those are our enemies. Those are the things that destroy our life, you know? So I didn't learn all these things in a blinking of an eye. I worked through all of these things. As I always said, when the life in me is showing me the real problems, my real enemies, that is always in me. You know, at times you cry so much that a little tissue is, a handkerchief is not enough, you know. Letting go of all your preconceived ideas of how your life is supposed to turn out. Let go of your dreams and things because they're not turning out, and it's heartbreaking at first. It is terrible, but guess what? Look at me now. At the end, when you learn to make peace with your journey and how your life is, and you surrender to what is instead of what you want to be, you are experiencing peace and joy in the midst of anything. Still, it's not easy, but it's bearable because you made peace with it, and that's why you experience peace in the midst of what is happening. And that's the only way how you can get through this life in this realm. If you let go, if you die to your own preconceived ideas, wishes, and stuff, and you make peace with what is actually happening, and you start to learn to walk today, to live today, and get out of today everything that you can. Use what you have been given today. Savor it, sit with it, work with it, enjoy it. You know, these two are now a little bit too small. They are not going in there because what did I do? I was tearing up the one, tore those two off. So I will see what to do. So this is it for today. I have a lot of lappies, cloths, and they are all the same size, and I am planning to create a book, like a gratitude journal, but just with cloth. So, as I said, this is as far as I'm going now. I have no idea what my next step is going to be. But wasn't this awesome? Don't have a plan. You just go with the flow of what is happening, and you just enjoy this stepping stone. Make peace with where you find yourself. This is whatever you're going through, it's just a stepping stone. So just learn to find peace and joy in the midst of that stepping stone. Look for the beauty. Look for the things that you can be grateful for. And sit with them. Be present with them. Enjoy them. And find your life in that. You know, isn't it awesome? Love you lots. Is Z from Zesters Lab. So let's see where this leads. I have no idea. But isn't it exciting? Love you lots.